The moment Mace Windu ignited his lightsaber and confronted Chancellor Palpatine in his office, the galaxy was at a tipping point. The Sith Lord, Darth Sidious, had orchestrated the Clone Wars, manipulated the Senate, and corrupted Anakin Skywalker's mind with promises of power and salvation. However, in an alternate timeline where Mace Windu succeeded in killing Sidious before Anakin Skywalker arrived, the trajectory of the galaxy would have shifted dramatically. The absence of Sidious would remove Anakin's immediate source of corruption and prevent the final choices that led to his fall to the dark side. Without Sidious alive to confront, Anakin Skywalker would not have been placed in the same moral and emotional crucible. The scene in which Sidious manipulated Anakin relied on fear and desperation, specifically preying on Anakin's dread of losing Padme Amidala to death in childbirth. Sidious had embedded himself as the only one capable of providing the knowledge to prevent this outcome. If Mace had delivered the final blow, Sidious's death would have instantly removed the supposed path to saving Padme that Sidious dangled before Anakin. Anakin's feelings of conflict, rooted in the illusion of a false savior, would have been nullified. The act of Mace Windu killing Sidious outright would also have shifted the political narrative. Sidious had carefully painted the Jedi as traitors, slowly priming public sentiment and the Senate to accept the notion of their disloyalty. However, with the Sith Lord dead, the evidence of his machinations could potentially be uncovered. His death would leave behind a vacuum of power and a sudden halt to the elaborate conspiracy he had constructed. While it would take time to unravel the extent of his deceit, the Republic would not immediately transform into the Galactic Empire. The Jedi Order, though damaged and possibly divided, would not face the immediate extermination that Order 66 precipitated. Anakin's presence in the aftermath of Sidious's death would be pivotal, but without the Sith's persuasive voice in his ear, he might find himself overwhelmed by the weight of reality. He would arrive to find Mace Windu alive and Sidious dead, a situation drastically different from the one he had envisioned. Without the intense emotions and manipulation orchestrated by Sidious, Anakin might be forced to confront his fears and insecurities in a more grounded way. The idea that Sidious could teach Anakin the dark secrets of the Force was the linchpin in the latter's descent into Darth Vader. Without Sidious alive to perpetuate this lie, Anakin would have no one to turn to for the forbidden knowledge he sought. His fear of loss might still be present, but the seductive promise of power, so intricately tied to the Sith Lord's presence, would be severed. Mace, along with other Jedi, could potentially guide Anakin back to reason, showing him the consequences of his choices before he committed to an irreversible path. Sidious's death at Mace Windu's hands would also eliminate the immediate threat of the Sith dominating the galaxy. Though remnants of Sidious's plans might linger, loyalists within the Senate, or the shadow of Darth Plagueis' teachings, the singular force driving the Sith agenda would be gone. The Clone Wars, which had been manipulated from both sides by Sidious, might grind to a halt as the separatist leaders found themselves without their puppet master. The droid armies could falter, and the war could end without the same catastrophic toll. However, the Jedi Order would still face a reckoning. Mace Windu's decision to execute Sidious without trial would likely spark controversy, both within the Jedi ranks and the broader Republic. Even though Sidious was a Sith Lord and a proven threat, the optics of a Jedi Master acting as judge, jury, and executioner could fuel suspicions that the Jedi had overstepped their bounds. Mace's action, while necessary in the moment, might create a ripple effect of mistrust, complicating efforts to restore balance and peace. Anakin, witnessing Mace's ruthless determination, might struggle to reconcile his own feelings about the Jedi Order's methods. Yet, the scenario still holds a more optimistic outcome than the events that transpired in the original timeline. With Sidious dead, Anakin would lack the immediate drive to choose the dark side. Though his fears and vulnerabilities remained unresolved, the Jedi would have an opportunity to address them without interference. Padme Amidala, a stabilizing force in Anakin's life, could provide support and help ground him as he processed the events. Anakin's love for her, though complex and fraught with danger due to his attachment, might offer him a path to redemption instead of despair. The larger galactic consequences of Sidious's death cannot be understated. His control over the Senate and the military-industrial complex of the Republic was unparalleled. Without his leadership, the web of corruption and manipulation he wove would unravel, leaving behind opportunities for reform. Figures like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, who were already wary of Palpatine's growing power, could work alongside the Jedi to restore the Republic's values. The power vacuum might invite new threats or opportunists, but the absence of Sidious as a unifying force for evil would fundamentally alter the balance. The Jedi Order, however, would not emerge unscathed. The revelation that they had been blind to the Sith Lord's presence in their midst would force a reevaluation of their practices and philosophy. Their reliance on dogma and their inability to address Anakin's needs or the larger changes in the galaxy would come under scrutiny. Mace Windu's actions, though decisive, might deepen the divisions between those who believed in the Order's traditional methods and those who sought reform. Anakin's path forward would depend on his willingness to confront his own inner demons. Without Sidious to feed his darker impulses, the opportunity for healing and redemption would remain open. The Jedi, recognizing their own failures, might approach Anakin with greater compassion and understanding. Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and others could potentially guide him back to the light, allowing him to fulfill his role as the Chosen One in a way that preserved his humanity. The Chosen One prophecy, which foretold the destruction of the Sith and the restoration of balance to the Force, would take on new meaning in this alternate scenario. With Sidious already dead, the prophecy would not be fulfilled through Anakin's fall and eventual redemption, but rather through his potential to rebuild and strengthen the Jedi Order. This divergence would represent a profound shift in the galaxy's destiny. Anakin, spared the torment of becoming Darth Vader, would have the opportunity to fulfill the prophecy in a way that preserved his identity and integrity. Sidious's manipulation of Anakin was deeply rooted in the Sith tradition of exploiting fear and attachment. By removing Sidious from the equation, Anakin's emotional turmoil would lack a definitive outlet. His fear of losing Padme might still linger, but the lack of a Sith mentor to corrupt his intentions would drastically change the outcome. The Jedi, recognizing the need to address Anakin's unique circumstances, might take a more proactive approach in helping him navigate his attachments. Rather than suppressing his emotions, as the Order often demanded, they might guide him toward understanding and controlling them, creating a new paradigm for Jedi teachings. The political landscape of Coruscant would also be irrevocably altered. The Senate, deprived of Sidious's authoritarian influence, would face a crossroads. Without the Sith Lord orchestrating events from behind the scenes, the Republic could begin to heal from the corruption and decay that had plagued it for years. Figures like Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and Padme Amidala could spearhead efforts to restore democratic values and accountability. The end of the Clone Wars, hastened by the unraveling of Sidious's plans, would provide a rare opportunity for peace and reconstruction. The Separatists, whose leaders were manipulated by Sidious, would lose their central figure of coordination. This could lead to fragmentation within their ranks, creating opportunities for diplomatic resolution rather than continued conflict. While challenges would remain in addressing the underlying grievances that fueled the war, the absence of Sidious's machinations would remove the driving force behind the galactic chaos. The Republic and the Jedi would have the chance to address the root causes of the conflict, promoting unity and rebuilding trust among the galaxy's systems. Anakin's development in this alternate timeline would hinge on the guidance he received from those around him. Obi-Wan Kenobi, who deeply cared for Anakin despite their differences, would play a crucial role in helping him process his emotions and fears. The bond between Obi-Wan and Anakin, strained but not broken, could be a foundation for healing. Yoda and the Jedi Council, recognizing the mistakes they made in handling Anakin's training, might adopt a more compassionate approach, fostering an environment where Anakin felt supported rather than alienated. Padme's survival and presence would be another stabilizing factor in Anakin's life. Her belief in the principles of democracy and her love for Anakin could serve as anchors, helping him find purpose and direction. The possibility of raising their children, Luke and Leia, in a galaxy free from Sith influence would represent hope and a brighter future. Anakin's transformation into a responsible and self-aware individual, guided by love and duty, would stand in stark contrast to the dark path he originally took. While the immediate threat of the Sith would be eliminated, the galaxy would not be without challenges. The remnants of Sidious's empire-building efforts could still pose risks, as loyalists and opportunists sought to exploit the power vacuum. The Jedi, having suffered significant losses and a crisis of identity, would face the daunting task of reforming their order to better align with the needs of the galaxy. Their failure to foresee Sidious's rise and their role in the war would demand introspection and change. In this alternate timeline, the galaxy's recovery would be a gradual and complex process, but it would be one marked by hope rather than despair. Anakin's survival as a Jedi, free from the influence of the dark side, would be a testament to the resilience of the light and the possibility of redemption. His journey, though fraught with challenges, would demonstrate that even in the face of fear and uncertainty, there is a path forward grounded in love, compassion, and courage. The death of Sidious at the hands of Mace Windu would have far-reaching consequences, reshaping the galaxy's destiny and offering a chance for renewal. Anakin, spared from becoming Darth Vader, would stand as a beacon of hope, fulfilling the prophecy in a way that brought balance to the Force without succumbing to darkness. The Republic, though scarred, would have the opportunity to rebuild, guided by leaders who believed in the ideals of justice and equality. And the Jedi, humbled by their failures, could embark on a new chapter, learning from the past to create a brighter future for all. In this alternate scenario, where Mace Windu eliminates Sidious before Anakin arrives, the question of Anakin's immediate response becomes central to the galaxy's unfolding future. Anakin, entering the aftermath of Sidious's death, would find himself in a moment of profound disorientation. Sidious had cultivated a masterful deception, convincing Anakin that only he held the key to saving Padme. With the Sith Lord gone, Anakin would be left grappling with the fear of loss, but the seductive allure of the dark side would no longer have a direct agent to exploit his vulnerability. Anakin's emotional instability might still present challenges, but the circumstances would favor a different outcome. Unlike in the original timeline, where his desperation led to violent action against Mace, Anakin would arrive to see that the crisis had been resolved. Sidious's body would be a grim testament to the Jedi's resolve and Mace Windu's unwillingness to let the Sith Lord manipulate events any further. This sight might initially provoke anger or confusion in Anakin, but it would also force him to confront the reality that the path he had considered, the path toward the Sith, was now closed. Without Sidious's insidious influence, Anakin would have the chance to reevaluate his priorities. The moment of choice would no longer hinge on a fabricated dichotomy between saving Padme and adhering to the Jedi Code. Instead, he would be forced to acknowledge that his fears, while valid, did not justify the extreme measures he had contemplated. The presence of Mace Windu, a Jedi known for his unyielding demeanor, might still provoke tension. Yet, with Obi-Wan Kenobi and other Jedi eventually stepping in to mediate, Anakin's feelings of isolation and betrayal could be addressed in a constructive way. The Jedi Council, already strained by the war and the revelations of Sidious's duplicity, would likely enter a period of intense introspection. The fact that a Sith Lord had risen to the highest office in the Republic, undetected for so long, would raise serious questions about the Jedi Order's methods and priorities. Mace Windu's decision to kill Sidious outright would also spark debate within the Order and the wider Republic. Though Sidious's death would be seen as a necessary act to prevent further harm, the manner in which it was carried out might be viewed as controversial, particularly by those who remained suspicious of Jedi authority. The Republic, meanwhile, would face the enormous task of unraveling Sidious's extensive network of control. As Supreme Chancellor, Sidious had consolidated power, manipulated the Senate, and orchestrated the Clone Wars to serve his agenda. With his death, the systems he had put in place would begin to falter. The Senate, led by figures like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, would have the opportunity to reclaim democratic principles and resist the slide toward authoritarianism. The war effort, too, would see significant changes. The Separatists, deprived of their secret benefactor, might find their leadership in disarray, opening the door to peace talks and a potential end to the conflict. Padme Amidala would play a crucial role in stabilizing Anakin during this tumultuous period. Her steadfast belief in the values of the Republic and her deep love for Anakin could anchor him as he worked through his fears and doubts. The revelation of her pregnancy, a moment fraught with emotion in any timeline, might provide Anakin with a renewed sense of purpose. Instead of turning to the dark side in a misguided attempt to protect Padme, Anakin could focus on becoming a father and building a life where his family and the galaxy could thrive together. The absence of Sidious would also fundamentally alter the trajectory of the Force's balance. The Sith, who had schemed for generations to destroy the Jedi and seize control of the galaxy, would be dealt a significant blow. Though the possibility of another Sith emerging cannot be discounted, Sidious's death would leave the Sith Order without its most formidable figure. The Jedi, recognizing the fragility of their position, might take steps to adapt their teachings and practices to better align with the needs of the galaxy. Anakin's unique perspective, shaped by his experiences and struggles, could contribute to this evolution, fostering a new era for the Jedi Order. The larger galactic implications of this scenario would unfold over time, but they would be defined by opportunity rather than despair. The Republic, though scarred by war and corruption, would have the chance to heal and rebuild. The Jedi, humbled by their failures, could learn from their mistakes and embrace a more inclusive and compassionate approach to their role as peacekeepers. And Anakin Skywalker, spared the fate of Darth Vader, could find redemption and purpose as a Jedi, a father, and the chosen one who truly brought balance to the Force. This alternate path, while not without its challenges, would stand as a testament to the power of decisive action and the enduring potential for hope. In choosing to eliminate Sidious, Mace Windu would set the galaxy on a course toward renewal, proving that even in the darkest moments, there is a way forward illuminated by the light.